Hello everyone, and welcome to the Yarkshire Gamer Wargames monthly update. And here we are in March 2023. It's been another very busy month. It's been the end of the Analogue Hobbies Winter Paint Challenge, so I've got quite a lot of stuff painted. Lots of new stuff in to the hobby room as well in terms of purchases. I've actually had a few games as well, would you believe? So it's a busy month, so let's get cracking and have a look with what we've painted. So starting on the new stuff, and this is the Z25 German destroyer from Trumpeter. That was the work in progress last month, and very impressed, very happy with these as I was previously. If we zoom in a little bit, we can see some photo etch there, which really brings out the detail in the model. And if you look close enough, you can probably see quite a lot, and I mean quite a lot of crew on this one. Tiny, so we don't get a fantastic viewpoint of them, but I think that looks quite good there actually, to be fair. So we'll just drive the ship along. It's one of the more modern German destroyers with a double gun front turret, which caused all sorts of problems with seaworthiness, but that's a bit of a naval geek thing, so let's not worry too much about that. I've got guys on the bridge, I've got guys on the upper deck. This one's got lots of lifeboats on board, which I've painted a sort of an olive greeny yellow colour. I think that really adds to the very basic level of painting on this. It's just a straight one colour job with one colour for the deck. So as we zoom along, we've got lots of guys on various parts of the deck waving and doing their daily job. So I think that's a really nice addition to the fleet. Those sailors on board really do make it look something different. So very happy with that. That's the first new unit stroke figure of the month, and that is a Z25. Something slightly different for the Germans is this surface U-boat, the U-162. It is a Type 1XC or 9C, depending on how you want to read it. And it's quite a detailed kit actually, but it's only actually 4 or 5 parts. It's from a company called Hobby Boss, and I think it cost me £4, so I can't really argue with that. And I'm going to zoom in as we have on the other ones, and you can see there we've got a little bit of deck crew. This is if you look up the box, sorry for all those changes there, if you look at the box art on this particular submarine, I have tried to replicate where the crew is on that. So we've got a submarine there. That's going to be very useful for our convoy actions. Obviously I'll do one with a pin sticking out of a bit of cardboard for the submerged one, but that's another introduction or another addition to the German Navy. Few additions to the Allied side as well. This is HMCS Huron. That's the Canadian ship, Canadian tribal class destroyer from World War II. And this ship is a Trumpeter kit again. I don't think there's any photo etch on this at all, actually, which is unusual for Trumpeter. They normally have a small one. And those of you who follow me regularly will know that I did this ship as a build in a day project, and didn't quite make it. I got to the very end of the process before I had to go to sleep, and it took me about 9.5, 10 hours in total from bare kit, bare bit of MDF to get this as it is now. And it's the same standard as I would normally paint stuff. And it led to an interesting discussion on the internet, to be honest, because if I was to sell this and I charged minimum UK wage, this would cost, I would have to sell this at about £125. And is that something that somebody would buy 10 of, or is it way too much for people? And it then led on to a discussion of how tight we are as wargamers when you consider that, you know, if you're paying for a master craftsman to come into your house, he's going to be charging 50, 60 quid an hour, which would make this £600 or £700. So interesting discussion to have. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. So that's HMCS Huron for all my Canadian friends. If they ever come over, they can use this ship in a game. And then the final small stuff here is this one. This is HMS Icarus. It's from IBG Models. It's sold as HMS Ilex. This has got bags and bags and bags of photo etch on. In fact, I nearly lost the will to live a couple of times building this ship. And I did it as Icarus rather than Ilex because Icarus appears Second Battle of Narvik and in a lot of actions during the war, the chase for the Bismarck, etc. So it was this particular ship I wanted. And I just dug into my decals box to get the correct pennant number. Getting the hang of a little bit of photo etch now. The railings, very happy, no problems at all. Got most of the stairways and stuff on this time, but I had a lot of trouble. There should be like a support around here that's photo etched, bended about 12 different ways, and I just failed. Epically failed on that. But there we go, HMS Icarus, another ship for the Royal Navy. So, last model in the deep end this month, and it's this bad boy. I'll just, pardon me, just bring back HMS Icarus for you to get an idea of scale. That base is 22 centimetres long, that base is 42 centimetres long. So, of course, it is HMS Arc Royal, an absolute essential bit of British kit for early war naval. And it is a kit by Aoshima, who I now know are different to Tamiya. A lot more detailed than the King George V that I complained a lot about last month on the model itself. We'll come to the aeroplanes shortly, so I'll just give it a little bit of a twirl as I am talking. The deck colour is the official bronze green AP632. It's Sovereign Hobbies are the only place I found that do a official mod of it, so any complaints regarding the colour of the deck to them. There's a little bit of weathering going on, and especially down the sides of the ship. It's a very plain, pun intended, very plain colour scheme, just straight one colour. There's thousands of arguments on the internet about whether there should be a dark line underneath. But this knuckle, as it's called here, naturally causes a shadow, as you can see there on this model. So I'm not going to worry hours and hours on the internet about whether I need a dark stripe under there or not. I've gone for it this colour. So you can probably see there lots of the weathering, etc., which is really nice. I've put the booms down so we are air operations, and the two cranes are up there as well for the boats. The lines on the deck are, let's try and get a looking down the ship's lines on the deck. It's a decal. It's about 7 or 8 decals that come with the kit, and I managed to get it straight amazingly. Aircraft wise, these are the aircraft that come with the kit, and I've got to say I'm not particularly happy with them in terms of detail. So as we'll see very shortly when we come to new stuff into the hobby room, I've bought some upgraded replacement aircraft for this, and I'll probably just get rid of, or I'll probably mount them and just have them as reserve aircraft for airstrikes and stuff. But there you go, that's HMS Arc Royal. Really proud of that ship. I think it looks the business, and a great addition to my British fleet. So we've had our feet wet first this time. Let's go down to the shallow end and have a look at the one land-based unit I've done this month. So here's the land unit that I've painted this month, and it's a bit of a whopper. It's a 60-figure 28mm Spanish Colunela from the probably mid-part, is the best way of describing it, of the Italian Wars. It wasn't a tactic at the start for the Italians, and they developed it earlier on in the early 1500s to have like a combined arms. And as you can see here, we've got elements of shot, elements of sword and buckler, and then at the rear we have got elements of pike. Now, as I've said a lot about the Italian Wars, you can spend hours arguing with people on the internet, or you can actually paint stuff and play it. So this is my interpretation of the organisation of the Colunela. Some people tell you different, and to be honest, we don't really know. It changed over time. It modified from this into what then became the Tercio. So there are various parts during history where this has changed and become a different formation, but this is what I'm sticking with. And this is, I try and do my units for the Italian Wars about 20-1 in terms of men to figures. So this represents Colunela 1000 to 1500. Some of the early versions of 600 to 800, but this is the 1000 to 1500, and 60 figures comes out nicely at 1200. I've used a white background on this, which is something I don't do very often, but something I have done for the photography of this, which you look on the Facebook site. There are some stills on there. In fact, I'll put some stills on here actually. Excuse me. To illustrate these, because I think they've worked particularly well with a white background. White backgrounds eat up all the light, so you have to heavily light the figures to get them anything like it. And the figures here look slightly dark, and this is my maximum light pouring onto them, and it's just all being eaten up by that white background. So the figures themselves are from North Star. They don't do any arquebus figures, so we've got sorry, but they don't do any crossbow figures, so we've got arquebus. And the flags are from Pete's flags, which are the separated ones with lots of different facets on, and then the no offence Ian, the more basic ones with the rugged cross on are from Flags of War. So let's have a look in a little bit more detail at some of the individual elements of this larger unit. So we'll start with the largest contingent, and that's the pike. And there are 4 bases here, each with 8 figures on. And I like my pike tightly packed, as you well know. There's no point having a ginormous gap between you and the next guy, because that's where the cavalryman's going to go. And everything is upright. It's just how the North Star figures have been made. I would like some lowered pike and angled pike, but they're just not available from this particular company. So this is what you get in. It's 2 standard size bases. Normally I elongate the front to fix the or to accommodate the lowered pike, but in this case there isn't any. So we've got straight bases 60 by 50, 8 figures, and we've got 32 figures in that particular pike. So let's have a look at the sword and buckler. So here's our sword and buckler bases. There's 2 bases each with 6 figures on, which is just my standard basing method. It's not for any particular set of rules, it's just how I'd like them to look. You need a little bit more space around you to swing a sword and a shield than you would to shove a pike in the ground and stand there and make sure the cavalry don't come in. So a little bit more mobility, motion if you like, in this particular set of figures. Again, North Star, they come with I think they come, yeah, they do come with separate shields. I can't remember, I do apologise, I think they do, but painted up and sorted into those 2 bases, which is very nice. And the final part of the unit is the shot section, and we've got 4 bases, each with 4 figures on here to give us 16 figures in the shot element of the unit. More spread out, as you would need to be with the fiery things in this particular period. And it like I said, there's no crossbow option with this, and it'd be interesting to see whether crossbow ever worked with the Colunela. That would be a one for the pendants out there. And it's I'm planning to do 5 of these, or maybe 6 for Pavia. And the great thing about this is that although I'm building them in units like this, if I need to split out stuff and have independent units of shot etc., I just put the bases together. It's not an issue. There's no mixed types of figures on one base that would prevent me from doing that. So there we go. That's our latest unit into the Italian Wars. I've got 5 or 6 of those to go, and let's have a look at work in progress. Here we are with this month's work in progress, and it is a 1/700 scale. Just move that. Prince Eugen, and about halfway through, and I'll just remove that for now. We've got our base sculpted and mostly painted, just the foam to go on there, which if you've watched the Bismarck series is the last thing that I do. And everything is built and on its little nails. I've done my nails, as I always say with this, and it's been primed, and I've also done the tan yellow spray on the deck as well. So this is all I've done painting wise so far, and I've masked off this end here, which is just get that out of the way because it's focusing on that instead. So this bit here that you can't see is like a dark grey, almost black, Dunkelgelb 2 I think it's called, and then this is a 51 variant, which is slightly bluey grey for the main part of the hull. And if we just bring the box back, you can see there, or you could do if you didn't have all the bits on, the camouflage scheme. So we've got the false bow wave at the front and also at the rear, which you just can't quite see at the moment. There we go. And then we've got the black and white stripes, which aren't in here as a decal, so I'm going to have to do those by hand, which is probably why Prince Eugen has taken me so long, because they are a pain in the arse. But I'm going to try and get them done for next month. The wood I've sprayed on. Normally I'll paint that on, but there's very little detail on the deck of this, so I've sprayed that on, and then I will weather it with the wood wash again. Watch the Bismarck series, it's on there, how I do decks and weathering, and then I'm going to build it up section by section. And if with these parts where you've got part wood and obviously you've got the side there that's going to be grey, then if you spray upwards at an angle, you don't get any grey on this particular area there. So this is a build in progress. Hopefully I'm going to have it done for next month. It's quite a difficult ship to build. I've also managed, because there's no decals in this, or relevant decals, I have gotten to this company, Peddinghaus in Germany. I'm going to do a separate video on these, but they do some specific decals, unfortunately without the bloody black and white stripes, but there we go. And I'm going to do a separate video on these decals. So this is how they've got around the crooked cross issue that we had with the Bismarck, in that you just put that bit onto there and it makes the symbol. I do find the irony in only being able to get these in Germany. But there we go. So I've got enough here, I'm hoping, because I'm going to use that one and that one for Prince Eugen. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to use these two for Bismarck, which will solve that problem. So I'll do another update or video on that as I use them, and I can review them as they go on, tell you how they work, etc. But that's work in progress from this month. Let's have a look how much we've spent. How much? Okay, once again, it's been a busy month in terms of purchases. I sometimes forget that I bought all this stuff, and I come to the monthly update and I think, oh bloody hell, how much have I spent? But as you see, a lot of it's getting painted, a lot of it's getting done. It's not going into a stash anywhere, and the enthusiasm that I've got for the 1/700 stuff at the moment is just keeps rocking on. So first in, my favourite type of model, in that it didn't cost me out. My mate Paul Scriven-Smith is off again to the States, bless him, and he had a couple of kits that he wanted to donate to the project. So this Sims class destroyer will be painted. I'm not going to go Pacific. It is going to be painted up because USS Washington, I can't remember the name of it now. There was a couple of three of them or more that worked on the Western approaches, so I'm going to use it for our convoy games. And Paul very kindly sent that to me free gratis. There was a Japanese destroyer with it as well, and my friend Steve Swift, who's building Japanese, is going to build that and paint that. So we'll put that to one corner because we're going to need a bit of space. Earlier on I talked about the aircraft on the Arc Royal model that I wasn't particularly happy with, and I bought these, which are Flyhawk, and I've also bought these, which are from Aoshima. Now the difference in quality is massive with these. With this, nice set of decals in there, but really guys, that's it for that size box. But on each of these sprues there are a couple of models of swordfish, and they are better detailed than the ones that come with the ship. Certainly I'm going to use them, I don't know, maybe as the static on the ship, or potentially for the airborne ones. So that's those. A little bit disappointed with the number of models in that, to be fair, and the number of useful models, because half of them got the wings folded back. But these are the business from Flyhawk. You get 8 swordfish, 6 full Mars, and 4 sea hurricanes. I wanted sea skewers, but if I can't get them, I can't get them. It's as simple as that. And these are absolutely amazing. I'm just going to open this up, and there's your basic stuff. But my word, Flyhawk. We're going to look at a Flyhawk kit properly in a minute. But look at that, we've got photo etch for a 1/700th aircraft. So these fold up for the rigging. We've got, they are, would you believe, are machine guns, and then obviously propellers. And another good sheet of decals there. So I'm looking forward to. No, I'm not. I'm really not looking forward to putting those together. But in terms of the detail I want, these are the absolute business. And again, I don't know whether I'll use these for the flight option or the deck option, but much better I think than the Aoshima. We've got some decent kit in there. I just need to find out a source of some 1/700 scale sea skewers that actually look like sea skewers. So let me know in the comments if you know. Building up for Narvik, I've got some of these, showed these before. The Z21 destroyer. So I'm building 36 and 36A type destroyers. I need 10 German destroyers for that. So there's another one for the stash for Narvik. The build of the convoy continues as well, and there's another Liberty ship to add to the stash there. You've seen these built before. I think I've got 5 in the stash now, and hopefully I'm going to get some convoy games running. Hopefully autumn time maybe. I just need to get probably 10 of these done to get enough for a convoy. So that's on the go. Then Narvik as well, I have invested in another H-class destroyer from IBG Models. I guess it's the 1943 version, but come on, give me a chance. So I need 5 H-class. I've got 2 now. So we're well on the way to our H-class requirements. And then we start to get a bit bigger. I've got this bad boy, HMS Warspite. The box isn't that big when you compare it to the other stuff, but trust me, the ship is. Warspite, I think, is the quintessential British battleship. Served in World War One, present at Jutland, served throughout World War Two. Why we ever scrapped the ship and didn't turn it into a museum is an absolute travesty. I think it's because we've got so much history in the UK, going back 1,000+ years, that we forget stuff like this. And yeah, Belfast is nice, but how much better would it have been to have had Warspite as a museum? But there we go. We can't change anything now. If I was Jeff Bezos or one of them idiots with loads of money, I'd rebuild Warspite. So you can see there, that is absolutely ram-packed with parts and stuff. I'm not going to open that because I'll never get it all back in. So looking forward to building Warspite. That is obviously a requirement for the Narvik games. It's kind of come on at the end like Big Brother. But the thing with the Warspite is at Narvik, if the Germans can torpedo it, wow, that's a big win. And then the other one that I've got is this bad boy, and it's from Flyhawk, who we talked about a minute ago with the planes. And this is just spectacular, this kit. The detail is absolutely amazing, and you get loads of stuff in it. I'll do a proper review on it. But you get sheets and sheets of my favourite photo etch. The box is rammed full of parts, and this is just for a light cruise. I mean, look at them. That's barrels, brass turn barrels. Anyway, if I don't end up in a lunatic asylum having put that together, I don't know. So that's the ship stuff that we've got this month in through the door, and quite a lot. Oh, sorry, there's one more. There's this Starling Models coastal cargo kit. I need some merchant stuff for Narvik, etc., and other games. And I'll do it again. I'll do a full review on this. So these are part printed, and a bit of my favourite photo etch, and then there's some resin parts as well. But I'm going to do a full review of that. 23 quid for 3 ships, which I didn't think was too bad. Well, not too bad at all actually, but I'll make a comment when I've built them and see what they look like on the table, so to speak. Not totally forgotten about land stuff. I've picked up these two. And this is another box of Perry Mercenary Miniatures. I can use these forever. And a command box. And this is from a chap called Peter O'Brien in Ireland. And I had a set of Soldiers of God for the Crusades rules that are out of print that Peter wanted, and he had these, so we did a swap, which is absolutely fantastic. I'd rather do that than waste stuff. So if anybody else is interested in a swap, the currency is this box here, and I have a box of 5 15mm Panthers for World War II from Plastic Soldier Company, and some SU 76s for 15mm World War II. So if you fancy either of those boxes and you've got one of these that you don't want, let's just do a swap. So that's all the models and stuff I've bought. Little shout out before I go to Naval and Military Press. I picked up this book, Destroyer at War, Fight and Life and Loss of Havoc. Havoc was at a Narvik, of course, and so it's a great read. Mostly from people who served on the ship, so it's I'm about halfway through that. Very, very interesting. Got another book on Narvik, The Fight for the Fjords, which is at work, so I haven't got it with me to show. And finally I bought this, which is proper geeky, Allenby Gunners, Artillery in the Sinai and Palestine campaigns 16 to 18. And those of you know I'm big into the World War One in the East. So that's Naval and Military Press. If you don't already, give them a follow. They send occasionally like a newspaper catalogue out, and any wargamer, I guarantee that you'll find at least one book in there, and sometimes they have spectacular stuff. I bought 3 books, these two and The Fighting in the Fjords, for less than 20 quid delivered, which is just the business. So that's everything that's come in. Let's go and have a look at the games that I've played this month. This month has mostly been about O Group, and I've had the first few games. In fact, I've had 4 or 5 now. 3 down the club, and very enjoyable. Russian front curse stuff that I've had and not used on the table for a while, so that was great to get them on the board. And then I had a couple of visitors to the Wargames room. Alex from Storm of Steel and Andy at Dystad came down, and Alex very kindly umpired a game for us. I set it up on the table here at Yorkshire Gamer HQ, and mostly infantry based. It was from one of the two Fat Lardy's scenario books based on a 1944 Normandy game, but very, very enjoyable. Enjoying these rules very much. So, here's scores on doors as usual, and lovely to see everyone flocking to Yorkshire Gamer, and welcome one and all if this is the first time you've watched one of these. If it's the 34th or 5th time, however many of these I've done, you are just as welcome as well. Apologies, I've had a bit of a cough today, I do apologise. So we have got 1842 on Facebook, up 35, 2731 on the Twitters, up 56, a little bit of a slow growth again on Insta, plus 11, up 17 on the YouTubes, up 3 on the podcast. Always ask if you don't mind, 2,000 people listen, 286 follow, bit of a strange one, especially when it's free. And if you don't mind, if you get a chance, please follow me on Podbean. Much appreciated. Facebook group 1262, up 131. Really happy with how the Facebook group is going. Lots of other people besides myself are posting, and I encourage everyone to post. We've had a couple of sales posts recently, which I don't mind too much, a little bit of promotion here and there. But if anyone starts spamming stuff and repeatedly putting sales stuff on there, then it's going to get ditched. But Paul Eaglestone from Empress Miniatures has put up the Arnhem Kickstarter, and I've got no problems at all with that. The great figures, not quite big scale figures. But you know what I mean. They are lovely. Paul Hicks sculpts, absolutely superb, well recommended. And just on the numbers, I do notice, and I have said this a few times, how drastically everything drops in terms of numbers and interest when I do anything naval, even the 1700 stuff, which I think is the best stuff that I've ever done. But people just don't like naval models for some reason. Don't know why. Not as many. People do like it, and I would say that the engagement is higher for the naval stuff. A lot more people posting, commenting, asking questions, starting debate, etc. That is really, really good. So very happy with that. Podcast downloads. We've had over 5,000 in the last month. We're up to 68,201. I think the next big landmark for me is 75,000. So couple of months we should get that, and following this I'll do my usual channel shout out and run through the podcasts and stuff that I have done this month, including a very special one with Henry Hyde. So let's go and do the channel shout out now. So a bit of a different shout out this month, and it is to the Naval and Military Press, and I mentioned them earlier in the How Much section, and just another shout out really for them. Fantastic range of books on all sorts of subjects. You can see there, looking at the ones that I bought, some obscure stuff in there, so check them out if you haven't already. On my own blog and podcast, I got back in the ring, and Martin Kelly from the United States, we had a lovely chat about big gaming in the USA, and I don't know whether everyone had missed me or what it was, but that episode went absolutely through the roof, and had beat my best monthly downloads in the first week, and it's still going strong. Lovely chat with Martin, great guy, big into his Italian wars, well worth a listen if you're into your big games. The second podcast I had out was with an old friend, Steve Shan, and Steve is a professional painter, as well as having a number of books out on the Franco-Prussian War, and he's got some scenario books out, one at the latter stages of World War II on the Eastern Front, and another one for Leipzig. So a couple of old mates, we sat down, we chatted, we chewed the fat about wargaming in general, and this one extremely well listened to as well. Really enjoyable. Thanks for listening. Then I did something a little bit different. I went on Henry Hyde's Battlechat Podcast for the second time. Henry's been on my podcast as well, but we previously talked about doing something about mental health and wargaming, and it's quite a difficult subject. Some people shy away from it, but it's been out for a week or so now, and I'll put a link in the show notes to it. Henry's put it out for free, so everyone can have a listen to it. Mental health is a very important subject and something that we shouldn't shy away from. And there's lots of links on Henry's blog to places where to get help. And I hope, covered it in a sensitive but amusing manner at times. I hope you enjoy it. Just a reminder, as I said earlier on, if anyone's got any spare boxes of Perry's Miniatures Mercenaries, I've got a box of Panthers I want to swap and a box of SU-76s as well. Thanks a lot. This month I'm going to leave you with the 1/700 scale Arc Royal build. Very proud of that. Love the weathering on it. Love the base. If you missed it, I did the base the wrong way around. I put the, if you've seen how I build them, I put the base plate on and then sculpt the sea around it, and I got the bow and the stern mixed up. So I had to do a lot of extra plastering and sculpting to get it right. It actually makes the sea base look better. It makes the sea base look really choppy. It's a really nice effect. So next month, I generally have a massive dip in painting following the Analogue Hobbies Winter Paint Challenge, and I've noticed already I've dipped off a little bit in terms of painting. I've got Prince Eugen on the go. I am now going to go back and revisit my Mentana project and try and finish off what I've got. I've ordered the last of the figures that I need until the Perrys get the finger out and put the French plastic line out. So that's going to be the focus, although I'm going to keep going with the ships and try and do a couple of 3 every month just to keep it ticking over. I've got Italian wars that I need to be working on. I've got the 10mm Malburian. There's loads of stuff. So, great. Thanks for joining me again. Hope you've enjoyed this monthly update. And as always, I'll see you next month.